Hello everyone, my name is Corazar, and welcome back to the incomplete guide to Starsector. We are here orbiting a larch. If you've been keeping an eye on the date up here, it's probably a bit later than you expect. And that's because I've spent some time flying around the sector, taking some bounty missions, and dragging a few ships with us to try to whittle down some of their demods. So we have the Ziggurat, the TTS Xenorphica here, and we are down to just structural damage, which is still pretty crippling, but not like phase coil instability that our Doom still has. This thing has been with me for months and is still trying to whittle this thing away. I'm also bringing with us the Invictus to get rid of its, although these two are probably the most livable it could possibly have right now. But I am trying to clean these up for a future episode where they're going to come in very handy. But that's not what we're here for today. No, today we are going to do a bit of story episode and also do a bit of talking along the way about an issue that's been plaguing this series for a little while, and that is the occasional audio crackle. And I have finally been able to suss out exactly what's going on. And unfortunately, it is an OBS bug. There's a plugin that captures audio directly from applications without going through Windows first, and it works great. Well, it did, until some point, not really sure when or why, but it sort of stopped working as well as it did just for some games and not others. Starsector is hit by it, Vintage Story is not. I have no idea why. But I did find while doing some testing that if I also record the desktop audio, then while I'm at risk of occasionally getting the occasional notification ding or something, it doesn't have the same crackling issue at about the 15 to 20 minute mark that we've been having. Hello? Sure, I'll check you out. A monitor. Oh, neat. Not as neat. So I'm recording both the direct from the application audio as well as my, all my output for audio. And if I get the crackling issue, I will just use the desktop audio and hopefully not have any weird other sounds that we don't want in here. But yes, that is at least that for now. I have noticed or have seen in the patch notes the upcoming OBS version 30 update should have a fix for this bug. Although, by their own admission, the patch notes say, hopefully. Now, we are here at Jangala for a particular reason, and that is the story quest I mentioned earlier. And I want to do a quest called the Princess of Persea, or Persea. And it's a quest that I don't think a lot of people do or maybe even know about because it's kind of out of the way. So after you do the quest for the Galatia Academy, specifically after you have spoken to High Hegemon Dowd, there's a chance that when you go to certain hegemony dockside bars, you might get a little interruption before you get to the bar. Now, we obviously didn't get it here, so I'm going to fly around for a little bit, and I'm going to try to drum up this particular quest from the bar, and when I do, I'll bring you all back for it. So, everyone, I made a slight miscalculation. One is that Tritac decided, while I was trying to do this quest, that they would declare war on hegemony. And that's a problem, because we have to go to hegemony bars. The other issue is that I didn't realize you have to actually have a hegemony commission in order to get this quest. So we are going to run up here to Tritech Space, give up our commission, which is going to hurt a little bit. But then we will go and maybe do a quest or two for hegemony, so that we can then get enough favor to take this quest for them. Now granted, let's see. We are currently totally hostile to them, which is not great. So we need at least 10 rep to get a commission. So we're going to go in here. And this is something we haven't really covered before, is how to sort of cancel your commission with a faction. And all you do is, I mean, you can actually cancel it from the main menu. You go in here to Intel, is your command, somewhere in here. Commission. Pop in here, hit resign. However, if you do that, you will lose twice as much rep with the faction that you're leaving than if you go and do it in person. So come do it in person, you will lose, I believe it's 10. And if you do it via text, then you lose 20. So we're going to go ahead and just resign that. Yes, reduced by 10. But look at that. We instantly jumped way up with hegemony to 12. So let's go get us a hegemony commission. Hello, hegemony. I want to be on Papa Dowd's side today. So they, of course, give you a different welcome committee than the Tritac does, because they're kind of like, you'll be one of our loyal super friend team members. And these guys are much more militaristic. So if you want to read that, go ahead. We'll get almost 100k a month, which ain't bad. It'll put us on the wrong side of Tritac and the Persea League. That's fine. Wow, 140. That's just cruel. Oh well. Okay, so here, once you have a hegemony commission, and you've done the meeting with Baikal Dowd at the Gates quest, part of the Galatia quest line, you have a 20% chance, whenever you go to a dockside bar, of running into someone who will talk to you. And they'll sort of interrupt your progress into the normal bar quests. So, nothing here. That's fine. So we're going to go and we're going to restart our hegemony bar crawl at this point. And yeah, let's get to it. Anybody home? Nope, no one's home. Hello? Nope. Anybody here? Oh. Continue. Hey, here we go. Caspian Sang. Hello, boy. You are really smarmy looking, aren't you? So, a pack of young officers relax, drowning a higher tier of drinks amid rolls of laughter at one or another bon mot. One of them glances at you, his head turning just a degree as recognition crosses his face. He calls out, lifting a drink. Ah, you there. Corazar, is it not? He puts on a glowing smile and approaches. His friends examine you, elbowing one another as if this is a setup to some jape. The one and only. Of course, Captain. You are all the talk amongst the officer corps. His arm makes a languid motion that doesn't quite encompass his drinking cadre, who finds this hilarious. One hears you've won not a few skirmishes with pirate scum and the like. In service of the hegemony, here. He raises his glass in a partial salute. Then he looks to each side, performatively checking for snoops, before leaning in to speak more quietly. One even hears that old man Dowd himself invited you for a personal meeting. Didn't get any of that mozzie hive dirt on you, did he? Haha. I'm gonna say, I don't know what you're talking about. Come now, he says with a wounded look. It's a grand old tradition to grumble about the top brass. I'm simply having a bit of a laugh with a new friend of mine, and, he speaks louder now, and a new friend of the Gemini, from bottom to top. His entourage cheers to this. We are all but comrades in arms, you and I. But where are my manners? Caspian sang, reporting for duty. He half salutes with his drink again, the liquid in the glass approaching but not quite escaping the rim. You catch one of Sang's drinking companions snickering, although it is unclear who the target is. Although, he puts a finger on his chin, pantomiming deep thought. Perhaps I should count you as, at best, an auxiliary comrade. Does your hegemony commission pay splendidly well? No need to answer, of course, friend. It is the business, this word he emphasizes, of none but yourself. And old man Dowd, of course, he adds with a wink. Let's say... The pleasure is mine, I'm sure. In that tone, by the way. Hardly, my good captain. He nods reassuringly to his drinking partners, putting on a show for them. Surely, it is mine. I tell you what, I have just the notion. He decisively quaffs his drink, then proceeds. A most spectacular notion. In light of Dowd's declaration that you're as much an officer as us, it would only be proper to provide you with an opportunity to share an anecdote or two of your wisdom with the cream of the Navy, don't you think? House Raal, surely you know the family, is holding the grand ball of the season on eventide. I shall place your name upon the guest list by invitation of the humble House Sang. Now, does that not sound absolutely first-rate? You'll be the talk of the season, I'm sure of it. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Most excellent, auxiliary captain, Sang says with a smirk. Come to eventide, and bring that razor wit, for you'll need it. With an affected bow, Sang returns to his table. The other young officers whisper and continue to cast wayward looks in your direction. Despite Sang's singular attempts at charm, you consider that this might be a good opportunity to meet some people of real influence in the hegemony. And this begins the Princess of Persea, or Persea. Not sure how it's pronounced, actually. And we'll return to the bar, and then leave the bar. That's why we're here. I'm actually going to buy some supplies, because dragging... My goodness, dragging these two around is expensive business, even with both of them having efficiency overhaul while I'm just cleaning them up. Man, we are bleeding supplies like no one's business. We'll leave that. I'm also going to run over to Nasty Ketchup. And we're going to buy a bunch of fuel. Ooh, hello. Yuck. We're also dreadfully slow at 14 burn speed. Let's just go ahead and we're going to buy, basically, all of you. And most of you. Actually, you know what? All of you too. So once you have activated that part of the quest, you can then go to eventide at your own schedule. There's no timetable for it. But let's just go there right now. And that is going to be down in Samara. And right there's eventide. Let's get going. Okay, so here we are approaching eventide. Yes. Hello. What did I do? Okay. Yeah, go for it. Whatever, man. I must have stolen some stuff on the black market here a long time ago, because I don't think I've been here in a while. We'll take care of other business first. Just going to repair our ships before I forget. And I want to check my suspicion. Still very high. From what, though? I have no idea what it did. I was a bad boy, apparently. So, when you get here, I do recommend, if this is your first time doing this, you probably want to quick save right about here. For a couple reasons. One is that there's a little mini-game, and it's kind of unique and interesting, but it's very difficult, especially if it's your first time, because it's requires reflexes, you don't get much practice, and it's completely different from everything else in the game. The other reason is that I and some other people have experienced a reliable crash of the game after doing this quest. So we're going to save before, we're going to save after, and then we're going to restart the game. Because restarting the game seems to avert that crash. So here we are. Let's go on in. We've saved. Let's take a shuttle to the Raal estate. As you don your best apparel as a shuttle is prepared, and you consider your primary goal, which is to... I don't care about connections. It's a party, just have a good time. Disgrace Caspian saying. And let's just keep an open mind and watch for opportunities. Why not? Your shuttle follows a course to the surface, authorized by the data key attached to your invitation, to the Grand Spring Ball of Eventide. You watch as these sprawling spires and annexes of House Raal's Spring Manor rise on the horizon from a fertile, protected valley. The battlements of vast storm clouds stream beyond distant ridgelines by some quirk of geography, which channels airflow around this eye of calm. Eventide must not be all that livable. I don't know, sounds like it. Your shuttle descends through shafts of light reflected from orbital mirrors. You observe that on this occasion, the Raals have arranged for artful placement of the mirrors to provide dramatic mirror sets in several vistas viewable from the manor. Upon landing, you are intercepted and greeted by a human servitor in a crimson and silver house uniform. Your pilots and bodyguards, meanwhile, are directed toward a utilitarian waiting area stocked with ample refreshment. You are led to a bulbous lift with no visible control interface. As soon as the doors close, it begins a smooth ascent toward the spires of the manor, while the servitor makes soothing inquiries about your trip. There is no perceptible change in the subjective gravity as the lift accelerates upward. The agrav plates here are very finely tuned indeed. The servitor whisks you past soaring windows blazing with the light of mirror set to a grand set of doors. They signal for you to wait for just a moment, following some opaque choreography of the event. Within a minute, it is your time. The grand doors swing open with the silent gravity of the celestial spheres, sweeping you into the ballroom of House Raal. We will enter the ballroom with little other choice here. Kurazar, your name rings through the great hall. A brief pause, then, Commissioned Auxiliary Officer of the Hegemony Navy. A few heads turn to take you in. There, a dismissive brow raise. There, a too quick flick of the eyes. The attendees seem little bothered to match your name to a face. Resplendent brass of the Hegemony Navy dominate the crowd, though there are a smattering from the Legion as well, as the various ministries spun off from the naval hierarchy. I'm not sure what the Legion is. I might need to read up on that one. I don't think it means the Persean League. I don't think. Maybe there's just one Legion ship. Less overt, but as numerous, are civilians in suit, dress, and robe that generally, but not as a rule, evoke the martial character of hegemony rule. Despite the political climate, you even recognize the characteristic fashions of several other major factions, religions, and independent megacorporations. Diplomats, business execs, hollow actors, priests, and even a cluster bearing the garb of tenured Galatia Academy academicians. Now you can get to doing what you came here for. Let's get a feel for the room before taking any action. Your eyes roam over the crowd, observing the push and pull of influence. Figures of vast power and influence move through the space, attracting satellites and disturbing orbits. There, a Space Marshal of the Hegemony Navy. There, the Prime Executor of Eventide Planetary Government. Sir, a human servitor appears beside you, offering a tray filled with delicate glasses of something effervescent. Let's take a glass, why not? You hear a familiar and not entirely welcome voice pierce the murmur of conversation and soft music. Why, Captain, Caspian saying oozes up to you. His uniform is as newly pressed and his smile as insincere as at your last meeting. I see you've already found your commission payment. He indicates your untouched beverage. The bounty of our fine host noblesse obliged so soon have plundered, eh? Noblesse obligée? Might need a accent over it. You smell the spirit on his breath as he continues to speak. But I give you too little credit. You serve the Gemini, do you not? Give a little show of it now, and pass me the top up, will you? Over Caspian's shoulder you see his gang of minions tittering. Stang, have I offended you somehow? Yes, Captain, you have. The cruel spark in Caspian's eye grows. By showing up. It was a test, you see, and you failed. You don't know your place. Not yet. He licks his lips. This is just the opening salvo. Now, no matter what option you choose, you will get this relationship hit, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think. A woman in the uniform of a Gemini commander appears, already looking at Sang with suspicion. Lieutenant Sang, was it, she says, protecting her voice. I see you've been welcoming a new arrival to my family's celebration. You can almost see his bully's instincts grappling with the new social dynamic in play. She nods politely to you. Commander Narian Rao, if I recall correctly, you are Captain Corazar? I am. It's a pleasure to meet you. Narian faces you, cutting Caspian out of the conversation. You watch in your peripheral vision as he realizes what's been done. He scuttles back toward his minions. The joking is over. They look at you now with sneering hostility. That boy, she says, is a weak-willed fool who believes that he must tear down others to build up himself. She looks you over. And it would seem that he chose a poor target this time around. And even had he not, I expect someone would have to shoot down his little game before he made much more of a scene. She sighs. There's the family name to think of, after all. You don't seem too excited about this ball. Look at them, she says. All these fancy people puffing each other up, all smiles and high ideals in public. Once they're behind closed doors, it'll be plotting and backstabbing and spreading rumors. I could never stand how two-faced it all is. Grandmother says to take it personally is childish, but that's just how politics is. That's just how politics is done. She twitches as if to cast off a bit of dirt. Then why are you here? As Narian begins to reply, you find the crowds in the ballroom withdrawing toward the sides of the room. During your exchange with Sung, you must have missed some announcement, because the live band at the end of the great hall is beginning to play a waltz. Dancers partner up from the edge of the floor. You catch a glimpse of Sang and his flunkies keeping an eye on you, still held off by the face of Narian's presence. By the Force. Boy, these are hard to read. You look at her for some kind of cue. She looks at you expectantly. Let's see, try very hard to initiate a transverse jump. I love it. I love it. Where can a space captain get a fresh drink around here? I don't dance. Let's dance. We're Corazar. We're pretty nimble. You've seen me fight in Vintage Story, maybe. Narian of House Rao nods and takes your hand. You find yourself pulled toward the center of the dance floor with the inevitability of a Singularity's gravity well. She is quick to follow, though you suspect not accustomed to that role. Nor is ballroom dancing with a Gemini elite of eventide much in your wheelhouse, but Narian provides a few suggestions pursuant to the local customs in a low voice. She is, you suspect, a commander able to embolden green crews toward good performance under pressure. Before long, you find yourselves caught up in the rhythm of the movements, and for a short moment, you manage to forget about petty bullies and factional politics. The next song begins and inertia takes you. So, Narian says over your shoulder, you know who I am, why I'm here. A step. A turn. Why are you here, Captain? I know it's not for Caspian Sang. Let's see, talk to someone important. I can't turn down an invitation to a good party. He really wants to prove him wrong somehow. Hard to say. I felt like I ought to be here, or for you, of course. Well, I didn't know her before, so, hard to say. Some weird deity with a YouTube channel just sort of pushed me here with buttons. Then it's fate, she says with a wry smile. Somehow I didn't take you for a romantic. Romance, you say. You see Narian's eyes focus on something behind you, and her expression goes hard as she pulls away from you. Oh, Corazar. You know that nasal tone all too well now, and slowly turn to see Caspian Sang and his entourage behind a thick-necked lieutenant. Uh-oh. Someone really hates us now. The new lieutenant ignores Sang entirely. Narian, he says. What's this then, slowing with frontier trash? Magnus Cardona, she whispers to you. A real piece of... Sang calls out. Let the auxiliary captain speak. Cardona shoots Sang a look that shuts him up, then turns his dead-eyed stare to you. I'm to understand this frontier barbarian impugned the honor of a Gemini officer tonight. The dance has stopped, the band finally having got the hint. All eyes are on you. Ooh, let's do the sass. No, Cass managed that all on his own. Ooh. He is irrelevant. You attacked the uniform, and for that, Cardona loosens his sword. I challenge you to honorable combat. Sang grins from behind him, relishing the moment. So here is where we get to partake in a little minigame. Now you can skip it. If you say no thank you and you keep backing out, you can exit this. You do lose out on the chance to play this minigame, and I don't think you can do it again. You also lose out on the chance for a story point. And you'll get the story point whether you win or lose. So I kind of recommend you give it a whirl. It's interesting, and that's why I recommended that you save the game beforehand so that you can try it a couple times, and if you still lose and you're okay with losing, then, you know, keep going. Or you can play till you win, of course. Let's see. Is this legal? I'm afraid so, Narian says. Technically. Too scared to fight me yourself, Caspian? You catch a glimpse of Sang's panic before Cardona steps forward, putting himself between you and Sang. It is I who challenged you. Answer me now. Sure. Cardona nods. Prepare yourself. Your acceptance washes the crowd, waking them as if from a stupor. The murmuring fills the hall. Cardona, Sang, and the rest gather and begin walking toward a tall set of doors at one end of the ballroom. Others join them, mostly officers, mostly young men. Grandmother, Narian calls out. You follow her pleading look to a stately woman overseeing the entire affair. Put a stop to this. There's no need for bloodshed on this night. You recognize Augusta Raal from the news hollows. Her head pitches forward imperceptibly, a denial, before she turns her back and moves away, pulling in her wake a retinue of ministers and aristocrats. Well, no help from her, I guess. The duel. On a bench before you lies a dueling kit. Hardened boots, gloves, and a helmet. A neatly folded jumpsuit of material smart enough to allow only what it judges to be non-lethal jabs and cuts comes with a suite of embedded medical sensors to automatically perform first aid upon injury. Deaths are very rare, a minor aristocrat assures you as he hands a scabbard to Narian Rao. She waves him back toward the gawkers with an annoyed look. There are fewer gathered around you, and fewer uniforms than those egging Cardona and Sang. This is stupid, she says, drawing the sword a hand's width and examining the edge. You don't have to go through with it. So, you do have a chance to back out once again. You can sort of insult the aristocracy here. You can also try to sort of show a bit of bravado. I recommend the green button, assuming you have a story point, because this is actually a pretty tough minigame, and you'll see why. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll take this easier fight. Absolutely. I have studied the blade, you say. Narian looks doubtful as she hands you the scabbard. You draw the blade in a single movement and demonstrate a lunge or two. The crowd gathering around you cheers and call boasts toward the other end of the loggia. Those idiots might have made a bigger mistake than I thought, she admits with an impressed look. Narian pauses a moment and then says, before you go through with this, would you like to take a few practice swings to warm up? Absolutely. If this is your first time, you should definitely do the tutorial. Do that here. So this is the minigame, and here is your character. The only time you'll see yourself outside your ship, apparently. And you cannot control the game with any of the center controls. It is locked and hard-coded to specific keyboard controls, which are displayed right up here. So right moves you forward a step, and you have to press it again. It's a single step. And again, left moves you backwards. Little scuttles. Space will attack, and it just sort of does a single type of attack. This is about as fast as you can attack, so you're not going to be clang, clang, clanging it real fast. Now, up is a block or parry. Like that. It's a single, and it sort of moves you forward, unless you're sort of actual parrying. If you're actually parrying a hit, you won't move forward. You might even move back, actually. Now, it said that a skilled fighter can also attack quickly in a riposte. Now, normally, if you don't take the story point, when you block, you have to wait till your sword returns to that horizontal position before you can attack. So like this, and you can attack. So block, attack. However, because we spent the story point, we have the fighting skills, we can block, attack, block, attack. Block, attack. So, really, really handy because what they'll do is they'll kind of come at you, they'll swing, and then they'll back up. So if you don't get your sword in there really fast, you're unlikely to hit. So, yep, we'll give this a whirl. Also note, you have 5 hit points here. You can take 5 hits. If you don't take the story point, if you don't spend it, you only get 3. You end up like Malcolm Reynolds. Okay. So, let's say I'm ready to fight. If you're sure, she says. As you begin to step away, she adds, and give him hell. All right. Dressed in dueling gear and wielding Nerian's sword, you are led to one end of a columned loggia that seems to hang over the valley below. Magnus Cordona steps forward, and the crowds withdraw. Round 1. Fight. Okay, here we go. I probably won't talk much because this is kind of tough. There we go, got him once. See how we couldn't reach him? Ow, got me. Yep, there we go. Got him. Ah. Ooh, got us. Ouch. Oh, no, he got us. Okay, we're down. All right, so we lost that. You slowly awaken. You feel distinctly unwell. There is no pain, but instead the wrongness of separated flesh. A portable automedic beeps beside you, cold tubes running into your body. A vaguely Nerian raal-shaped figure asks you something. You're leaning against a bench, you think, with someone's uniform jacket behind your head. Tall windows glow in the twilight, the blurred forms of revelers moving within. The mirrors have been allowed to set, leaving the sky glowing darkly in deepest blue. Come on, let's get you back to your shuttle. Nerian pulls you to your feet. Your head spins for a moment, then the automedic whirs. A sense of fragile wellness fills you. The morphine. She gingerly leads you to a discreet servant's access lift and back to your shuttle's pad. The manor staff are efficient. Your entourage has been summoned. They keep their tone professional, but you can tell that their mood is cautious. Word of your loss obviously spread quickly through the waiting flight crews. Nerian sees you off from the launch pad. Well, she says uncomfortably, I apologize for everything. We're not all clannish brutes. I enjoyed the dance. We should do it again. I'd like that, she says, her smile finally returning. She looks like she might say more, but instead nods quickly and turns away before you can reply, heading back toward the manor complex. And we get 2 more relationship. And that is the Princess of Persea. Complete. Complete even if you lose. So, cute little story. I thought that was a fun distraction from the sort of usual fare of this game. However, at this point, if you're not going to reload, I do highly recommend that you leave immediately, pause the game, save it, and then reload. So I'll see all of you in just a moment. Oh, and by the way, by reload, I mean you need to close the game entirely and start it back up. So I'm going to do that, and I'll see you all in just a moment. Alright everyone, welcome back. I have reloaded the entire game, made sure to close it down entirely. And we should be safe now to continue on. The issue that I have is typically that what will happen is after you complete that quest, if you don't close the game and start it up again, then after you click through just a few more menus in some of these areas, especially if you go to another planet like Chickamozstock, it'll just cause a crash. And you'll have to, well, reload obviously. So before we wrap up here, we have a couple things I want to get to. One is that we have some planets to name and something to talk about in regard to what I've done to a couple of them. Let's run back to Larch here, home, and we'll start there. And along the way, I would like to say that we got a 20 questions submission from Gonzo Reader, and I only have one question for everyone today. at least to answer today. And the question here from Gonzo Reader is, when and how did you learn about and start playing Starsector? Well, that one's pretty easy in a lot of ways, because I kind of learned about it the same way I learned about a lot of games that I play nowadays. And that is, I watch a lot of Splattercat on YouTube, Splattercat Gaming. And I really enjoy his channel and the way he focuses on indie games and gives a really good overview, even just, 40 minutes or so, of seeing a game being played and getting his thoughts. And that kind of started me on Starsector, and then I watched a couple other people play here and there. I do watch Grumpy Thumper, and I've watched a lot of Big Brain Energy, and that's kind of how I got into it, and how I learned about it. And Starsector is a game where you kind of always keep learning, one, because it's changing, and two, there's just so many things to learn and know about this game, all the different systems. And so I watched a lot of those today still. The second thing I want to cover, now that we're here, is we have some ships and some planets to name. Let's see, where's my note for that? Here we go. We have, in here, a scarab that needs a name. Where are you? There you are. It's been a while, little buddy. So the scarab, I already named it. The LMC Covenant. And that name is also from Gonzo Reader. And then we have a couple other names. Let's see, we have a name for our local big ball of gas. Let's go over here and name it. Well, I think we can name it from the menu. Let's manage the colony. So, big ball of gas is, as you recall, basically a little mining hub for volatiles. Bad amount of volatiles in this system, but it's what we've got to work with right now. And we do have the plasma dynamo here to help shore it up, but it's not much. Now, here we go. Just click the name here to edit it. And our world name is Lumina. And that name comes from FreeZ Styler. So thank you for that name. That name was given a while ago for a world for future use, so there we have Lumina. And then over here, let's actually go there because I do want to show you what's going on here on Dry World 2, I think. Maybe it's Abydos. Dry World 2, your name is soon going to no longer be Dry World 2. Because we have a name from Elise. And I thought this one was actually pretty clever. I hadn't thought of the Calamari Desert from the Mario series in a long time. But Calamari, because it's sort of a deserty world. So there we go. We have two more worlds now named. We don't have any domain artifacts in Calamari or on Calamari. However, we do have something new over here on Abydos. Because we were bleeding money for a while I was doing my little in-between episode running around. And I thought I could sort of stem the flow of that a little bit by coming in here, and I took a beta core from our stash and I attached it to the military base. Now, AI cores do a number of different things for your colonies. They can do different things for your colonies. The gamma cores, actually, all of them can be slotted into your industries here, any of them. Gamma cores simply reduce the required amount of materials for that industry by 1. So if you put it in here, then you need 1 fewer food, organics, luxury goods, domestic goods, drugs, organs, and supplies. Put it in mining, you need less drugs and heavy machinery, and so on. Beta cores do the same thing that gamma cores do, plus they reduce the upkeep by 25%. So you see the monthly upkeep there at 5,333 credits? That would get reduced by 25%. Now the military base is very pricey at almost 20,000 credits. Well, and that's 20,000 credits with the 25% reduction from the beta core. Normally this would be like 26,500 credits. So this saves us about 6,000 credits a month. Not bad. If we wanted to slot alpha cores in here, we could, and that would have the additional effect of everything the gamma and beta cores do, plus it increases the output of that industry by 1. You can also, if you want to, put an alpha core in as an administrator for your colony, the whole colony. And that does something a bit different. We haven't really gone over it yet. Let's go and take a look here what it does. Let's pretend that we wanted to assign an alpha core. All alpha cores have the industrial planning skill, which you can get from the character menu or character skill screen, and also you can hire the more expensive administrators who will have this. They have a salary of, I think, 20,000 a month. So until you get to really big and prosperous colonies, they're not really worth it. But alpha cores don't need to be paid. In addition, alpha cores have a skill called hypercognition, which gives your entire colony 10% more accessibility, 20% larger fleets, a 50% boost to ground defenses, and +1 stability. All in all, a great deal. But it comes with a drawback. See, using any cores on your industries or in your colony at all may attract hegemony's attention. Now we're going to hopefully remove this alpha core from here once this tech mining is depleted, but we will get to that when that happens. And I'm kind of just crossing my fingers that they won't bring an AI inspection to our colonies. But yes, that can happen where they'll be like, hey, we've heard rumors that you might be using an AI core or more than one. And they'll send a decent-sized expedition out to basically rip out the AI core. If it gets past your fleets and your stations and your ground defenses, then they will take your AI core, and actually they'll clean out any AI cores stored in your colony's storage, at least the one that they attack. So don't think that you can just dump your AI core in the storage here. You have to actually have it like on you to avoid losing it. However, once you slot an alpha core into the administrator role and you leave it for a little while, you can't ever actually remove it. If you put it in and then you come back in like a month and remove it, you're okay. If you come back in a year, when you go to remove it, there's a bit of a story thing where like you enter the facility where the AI core was stored and it's gone. It's no longer plugged in where you thought it was. And the AI core is like, nya ha ha, I have moved myself and you have no idea where. And you're stuck forever. Actually, until the hegemony comes and takes your AI cores, then you can get your AI core out of there, but you don't get it back. So yeah, that's about it for the episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the little bit of a story and got a good laugh at my loss, but I think I'll have the last laugh because it's a tough fight, and I'd like to hear from you guys if you've done that quest and if you enjoyed it. I really hope we get to see more of that kind of quest. I liked the bit of story that didn't have to do with flying spaceships and kind of more human personal connection. I'd like to see more of Neri and Raal at some point in the future in further quests or even just story things you can do. I think that'd be really cool. But that's going to be it for the episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you're looking forward to more shenanigans now that our fleet is fully repaired. I think I want to take these two for a spin for a very specific fight. Maybe even next episode. But that'll be for later. As always, my name has been Corazar. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.